Hello there, all you folks out in Utopia. This is your host, David Primack, giving you yet another lesson in basic Yiddish, hopefully better than the last one. I cringe when I review it and see how many times I said the verbs themselves when I was really talking about nouns. I didn't have time for another take. And I didn't have the energy to keep my head straight that particular time because I was very tired. I apologize for any confusion or annoyance that might have caused. Anyway, as promised, I'm moving on in nouns, not verbs, nouns, which was what the lesson was about to the neutral gender. And after the neutral gender, we'll work on plurals. There's a lot to do about plurals, so I won't be able to cover it in just one lesson. So let's get cracking. Okay. First, you have to know about something called the diminutive. What's the diminutive? That's like if you see a child and his name is Yosef, and you wanna say, Yosef, come here. You would say, Yosela, come do, which means little Yosel, come here. That is, making his name from Yosef into Yosela is a way of, I wouldn't say exactly condescending, but a way of talking to somebody with affection and at the same time a little bit condescension, like to a small child. But it's the affection more that's more prominent there, rather than the condescension. Now, if you talk to a grown man and his name is Yosef and you call him Yosela, unless he's a good friend of yours, it might be a prelude to a fight, because that is really condescending and a bit insulting, but to a child the diminutive is affectionate. And it's also a way of speaking about other things as little or cute or nice. So if you have a table, it's a tish. But if it's a nice, cute little table, you say a kleine tischele, a little, which means a cute little table. Or not exactly cute, but it's cute is implicit in it. And when you use the diminutive, usually done with a lamed at the end, a dovidel, a yosela, a tishela, a firol in the song, or even priperchik, brent a firol, in the little oven, in the clay oven, there's a fire. A little fire it is. So, when you have the diminutive, as I keep on trying to say, it is always neutral, except in two cases. So, if you're going to say a table, you will say das Tischel, if you're speaking in the diminutive. Or if you're saying a little fire, das Firol. And if it's a little dog that you feel affection for, it's das Huntele. And a small synagogue is called a Stibele. So it would be das Stibele. Again, neuter. That means a little synagogue, like the corner synagogue in the basement. There is the Stibele, the little house. There's an important exception to this, though, which is where the person you're referring to, where the object you're referring to is obviously male or female. So, if it's a boy, you would say Yingala, but he would be der Yingala because he's obviously a boy. He's not a tumtum or an androgynous, meaning he's not He doesn't have both organs. He is a boy. And likewise, if it's a girl, it's diminutive, the young girl. Another thing that could be neutral, so that's an exception to the diminutive rule. Those are masculine and feminine. Der Jingele, die Mädele, as I said. Now, if you have a verb that's been turned into a noun by changing it into the infinitive, that is, we would say, ich will zu laufen, I want to run. But if you change it around and you want to say to somebody, why do you want the running? You would say, for was willst du das Laufen? Why do you want the running? In the neutral, because it becomes neutral when it's changed into a noun. Likewise, ich will zu singen. I want to sing. For was willst du das singen? Why do you want the singing? It becomes neutral. And now we get into a couple of very long compound words, which are adjectives with an ending, which can also be changed into a noun, like a title or something. For example, so hang on to your hats. This is hard for me to pronounce also. For example, you have an äußergewöhnlich Mann. That means a outstanding man, like a superb man. But if you want to refer to him as by the adjective, that is, you use the adjective in lieu of a noun that the adjective modifies, to say the superb, like a circus performer, the magnificent, then it's das Äußergewöhnliche, which means the outstanding. And here are a few more equally complex adjectives which I was able to dig up as examples. The internal, an adjective. Der innerweinige Gefühl. That means the internal feeling. Or you would say, das innerweinige, the private, the personal. Again, it's in neutral. Mein innerweinigste Herz, my innermost heart. That's, again, masculine. But if you want to say my most private, you would say, or the most private, you would say das innerweinigste. Again, the adjective becomes a noun, and the fact that it becomes a noun turns it into neutral. Now on to plurals. That's about all there is to say about neutral. And let's fill up the rest of the time with some plurals. And also another thing I forgot last time was to give you all a proverb or something of the sort. Some Yiddish words of wisdom. But first, plurals. there are a great many different forms of plural. Really, what you need to do if you want to know the plural of a noun is look it up in a dictionary, but I'll give you a few because even though each plural can be different, there are some basic forms that they fall into, and I'll cover two of them today. So first is the kind that ends with a stressed vowel, and they end with an ens, a plural. For example, armee. That's a stressed noun ending, so the plural is armeeën, armies. An Eisenbahn ends with a nun and also a stressed vowel. The aleph is stressed and it ends with a nun. So Eisenbahn, a train, would be in the plural Eisenbahnen, trains. A bed is a bed, ends with a tes. Another one of the group that ends with a nun ending. So the plural of it would be betten, which can be confusing because bet is also a verb, you see. Ich bet mechila means I beg your forgiveness. And then the infinitive of that would be zu mechila gebeten, or zu mechila beten, to ask forgiveness. Gas means a street, ends in a samech, and apparently the samech is also part of this group of nun endings for gassen, streets. The gassen von mein Heimatstädtel, the streets of my hometown. Hotel is a hotel, and the plural is hotellen, ends in a lamed. And then you have mensch, the plural of it is menschen. And then professor, which means a professor, the plural is professoren. So generally, the nun plural is used for a noun with a stressed vowel ending, a nun ending, a tes ending, a samech ending, such as gas, which means a street, or lamed ending, such as hotellen or schulen, a shin ending, for example, mensch, menschen, and a resh ending for professoren. Now, there's one at least that I found which can have either a nun ending, even though it does not have a stressed vowel end, or a samech ending, which is the next kind of plural, which is frage. The plural of frage is frages or fragen. Anyone can use either one. Nobody will call you out on it. Anyway, it's not just an ordinary question, though. It means an important question. Like if you're reciting Hamlet in Yiddish, you would say, zu sein oder nicht zu sein, das ist die Frage. To be or not to be, that is the question. They don't mean just a question like a shayla, which is like usually a question on Jewish law, but it means an important major question. Then there's, this is the pattern used with unstressed vowel endings. For example, a henschke means a handkerchief. Plural of handkerchief is henschkes. Koffe in plural is kofes. The textbook that I use, they have it spelled kave, but that's not the way I've always heard it pronounced, having grown up in America and learned Yiddish in America from people who say kofe. A keshena means a pocket. So you want to say that about a corrupt politician, liegt in Tammany's keshena. He lies in Tammany Hall's pocket, for example. That was a corrupt political machine in New York City, so I use that just as an example. So a keshena is also where you keep your change. And the plural is keshenes because the ayin is unstressed. So Purim is a long way off, but for my proverb, I will give you what is called a Purim Torah. It means a funny Torah discourse, usually making a play on words and the difference in what the word means in Hebrew as opposed to what it means in the German part of Yiddish. So, here's a couple of examples of a Purim Torah. Now, the Mishnah tells us that if you hear bad news, you say the bracha Baruch Dayan Emet, blessed is the true judge. And in Yiddish you say auf schlechte Hering, mizogt Baruch Dayan Emes. On bad news we say Baruch Dayan Emes, but herring also means herring. So the Purim Torah is that if you eat bad herring, you say auf die Hering zogt men Baruch Dayan Emes, weil auf schlechte Hering azoi zogt men. That on this herring you say, blessed is the true judge. That is the blessed is God, the true judge. Even though this isn't so great, we accept it. So you say that on bad herring. Another one is, dinnen Geld is sehr wichtig, weil ganze Schem hat ausgestarrt für dinnen. Means making money is very important because the whole city of Shechem was killed on account of Dinah, who was Yaakov Avinu's daughter, who went astray with Hamor ben Shechem, and her brothers, because through all of Hamor ben Shechem's talk about marrying her, wouldn't tell them where she was, so they considered her kidnapped. So what they did was they tricked all of the people of Shechem into circumcising themselves, and then on the third day, while they're still in pain, went around with swords, killing everybody and rescuing Dinah. So the entire city of Shechem died for Dinah, which in Yiddish means earning. So dinnen Geld is sehr wichtig. Earning money is very important. Weil ganze Shechem hat ausgestarrt für dinnen, because the whole city of Shechem died for Dinah. It's one of the more bloody stories in the Bible, but hardly the worst. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Unfortunately, I was not able to add more Hebrew subtitles to the lesson 4 just yet, but I'll get cracking on it later this week. It's been a rough week last week, and this week and next week is going to be worse. But good night, all you out there in Utopia.